I've got workbooks for everybody. I'm just going to pass them out. As you go through the workbook, there's places to write stuff down and things. Don't feel like you have to fill the whole workbook out now. This is really about learning how the workbook works. And we're actually going to go through it together in detail so you'll understand every part of the workbook. And then if you finish filling it out later, then you'll understand how. And it'll be easy to do that. The base behind this revolution, first of all, it's the xgym. That's a revolution. Because as you can see, looking around, this is like no gym you've probably seen before. Very unusual as far as the equipment we use and how we do exercises. So down to the nature of how we do the rep itself is completely different from any other trainer or any other gym in the world, because we're the ones that invented it and we're the only ones that are doing it. And what we're doing is all based on the latest science and research. So it takes the least amount of time, it's the safest, and it's the most effective. This resolution revolution is part of the whole revolution that we got going. Because people have tried to achieve their New Year's resolutions over and over, and most people have just failed over and over. And this is a 7-part workshop with a 7-part workbook here that shows how to solve those problems. So I'm just going to go through this with you, and every page, in fact, so we can figure out together how this is going to work. As we go, I want you to ask questions, because you're going to have them. And so this is going to be more of an interactive kind of experience, where feel free to interrupt me, raise your hand, and ask a question. And the question may be answered in future pages, and I'll let you know that we'll get to that, or maybe not, and then we can talk about it. But I definitely want that interaction. Page 1. Let's get started. So as you can see in this first paragraph, it talks about how 95% of the people who make New Year's resolutions fail. And another few percent are lying about achieving their resolutions. So it's really most people, the vast majority, have failed miserably. So I think that those people that keep making that same resolution every year, over and over, and failing every year, over and over, I call them resolutionaries. Because they just keep coming back to the same old thing. And if some of you have seen pictures of Ben Franklin, he was a portly fella, and so I think he was a resolutionary. He was a revolutionary too, right? But I think he was a resolutionary too. I think every year he made a resolution to lose weight, and he couldn't do it. See, I made him a revolutionary. And I think that's also one of the reasons he came up with the quote, "The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results." I think after 4 or 5 years of not getting the result he wanted, he decided to make that a quote. Einstein said that too, in a little bit different way. But they're both pretty smart guys. So my question is, do any of you feel like resolutionaries? Most of us, I think, do feel like that. And this workbook and this workshop is the solution to that. This workbook provides 7-step resolution revolution. And we're going to go through each page together. And you're also going to have the opportunity to join our exclusive online support group. It helps us come together as a group to support each other and to have amazing discussions. On page 2, we got step 1. So, step 1 is to find your away from motivator. A, what are your away from motivators? So some examples: to not get diabetes like my mom. And these examples are quotes from people that I've worked with. I've worked with thousands of people over the last 25 years. And so I have a lot of specific examples in my mind where people that have really been helped by some of this stuff. Another quote would be, "I'll probably have to get knee replacements if I don't lose some weight." On that one, it's just the first thing that comes to your mind. So don't overthink it. Just write down some of your away from motivators. 1 or 2. It doesn't you don't have to be filling out, lots of stuff on this. This is really walking through the first time. You can do more detail when you get home. So then when you continue it later, you've already got a head start. B, what pain is associated with these motivators? Some examples are to not suffer or be limited like my mom. Same example, the one up above it, but this person is saying that she sees her mom suffering and all the limitations that come along with having diabetes. Or my knees hurt because of this extra weight. So there's pain, there's physical pain there. So find the pain and write down the pain associated with the motivator or away from motivators that you wrote for A. Now, it's important to understand that you might not be feeling intense pain at this point, and it's better to work yourself up a little bit and think of things where you really are in pain, because pain is a good starting motivator that we're going to talk more about in just a sec. But if it's just slight discomfort, that's a pretty crummy motivator, and it's really not enough, because people can live with discomfort, but they can't live with pain. And so we're just using the pain right now as kind of the fire under the butt. Yeah, question? Mm-hmm.
Yes. When you talk about pain, maybe it may not always be a physical pain, it may be an emotional pain.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. And I was going to introduce Jackie at the end, but might as well right now. Jackie is a friend of mine, and she's a hypnotherapist. So hypnosis is another shortcut. You're going to learn a lot of shortcuts here today. This is another one. So she's going to be a great resource. And I can give you her contact info. She's a published author, and she's experienced in what she does. And so just so you know, Jackie's another great resource for you. Do you want to say anything more about that?
The only thing I want to say is that hypnosis isn't necessarily like a shortcut, like boom, boom, you're hypnotized and now you just lost 10 pounds. It's not that kind of
and
shortcut, but it is a shortcut to the mind, to the obstacles, to help you uncover them a lot faster and work through them so that you can be moving forward a lot quicker.
Removing blocks a lot
of
the time.
Blocks, removing those challenges. Yeah.
Thank you. Discomfort, even mild discomfort, if it's not enough of a motivator to get you started, because it's something you could live with, think about down the road what that mild discomfort now could cause. Because discomfort now can cause disease later. It usually does. So now you found some pain. Now you found some away from motivators. C, what is the opposite of the motivators above? So as like in A, for instance, at the top of the page, how would you replace words like not and don't? So here's an example. To eat foods that keep my pancreas happy and healthy. Karen like that. Or to strengthen the knees I have and make them even better. So think of how you can word that to be more of a positive motivator, and then jot some thoughts down, or the whole phrase down, if you can think of it right now. And then D, how would you write the opposite sensation statements to the pain sensation statements in B, above? Example, instead of to not suffer or be limited like my mom, you could say to be vital, energetic, and healthy on the inside as well as on the outside. Or instead of my knees hurt because of this extra weight, you could say when I am lighter and stronger, my knees will feel great. Just take a couple moments, jot some notes down, some thoughts. Just the first stuff that comes to your mind. Doesn't have to be profound. This is just for you. All right. Next page, 3. E. How would you write what you said in D above in the present tense? Example, instead of to be vital, energetic, and healthy on the inside as well as on the outside, you could say, I am vital, energetic, and healthy inside and out. Or instead of, when I'm lighter and stronger, my knees will feel great, you could say, my knees feel great now that I'm lighter and stronger. So same kind of thing, you're just tweaking it again a little bit further and making it a present tense statement. So then step 2. Now find your toward motivators. So you basically just did it. Now all that's needed is a couple slight tweaks. So next, write down 4 or more toward motivators, especially internal and health related, as opposed to external vanity reasons, like looking good on the outside. The more emotional these reasons feel, the more effective they'll be. Remember to phrase them in the present tense as if they've already happened. You can use the ones you just created, but with slightly different phrasing. So example, my healthy, strong knees allow me to do the things I enjoy, like skiing, hiking, and tower running. I'm a tower runner, so I had to put that in there. So in my example, you can see I'm phrasing it in the present tense, and I'm phrasing that goal to allow me to do things I really enjoy, to do really fun things that I have a lot of emotional attachment to. Go ahead and keep writing while I'm talking, because it's good to get those things down. Just, even thoughts. It doesn't have to be complete sentences, just thoughts to come back to later too is helpful. So next page, page 4, brain fact. The subconscious doesn't understand negations. Your subconscious brain operates at about the level of a 3-year-old. So when you tell it not to do something, or use the word don't, or other negation words, it basically drops the negation, the not, the don't, and sets out to accomplish exactly the opposite of what you thought you just told it not to do. The reason for this is subconscious only understands pictures and emotions. So like a 3-year-old, when you tell that kid, don't spill your milk or you'll be in trouble, first thing that pops into their little mind is the movie in their brain of the milk spilling over, parent getting upset, and all the emotions felt from that accident. As far as the subconscious is concerned, spilling the milk is exactly what it thinks it should do, because those were the images and emotions it received, so it will do its darndest to carry out that job as effectively as it can. So that's why when you tell your 3-year-old to not do something, they're way more likely to do that thing than if you phrase it differently. Like saying, if you keep your milk glass upright, I'll be proud of you. Those are the images and emotions that get sent to the subconscious, and the subconscious will do its darndest to carry out that job. Your subconscious never grows up either. It's stuck being a 3-year-old with images and emotions programming it. Your subconscious brain is also the part of the brain that's in charge most of the time. So did you all know that you're run by a 3-year-old? Because it's true. So learning how to talk to it and reprogram it will be the best way it can tap into its amazing power to help you instead of hinder you. Either way, it's powerful. And will control most of your conscious and unconscious actions throughout the day. So you might as well have it on your side. The short-term away from motivators provide enough pain to motivate you to get going, but the toward motivators are the real long-term heroes. That's what we're concerned with here, is long-term success. Your away from motivators are great at getting you started, but they're lousy for keeping you going. Once you start seeing progress and results, you realize, consciously or not, that you're further away from the pain that served you so effectively as the fire under your butt. As you get further from this pain, the motivation wanes, and is one of the reasons most people snap back to where they were and back to the pain they had. Yo-yo weight loss. Another reason is because when people lose weight, their body changes, their brain doesn't change. And so it's really like a rubber band is tied between the body and the brain. So the body starts getting improvements, making progress, and this rubber band gets stretched because the brain stays down here. This is what most crash diets and other programs are like. The body changes, brain doesn't change because the person doesn't even know that they should do that. And so now they get all this improvement, and they get to their goals, and they go, wahoo! And the brain says, yeah, that's great, get back down here. And the rubber band snaps them right back down, and then they yo-yo. But if the body is changing along with the brain, the rubber band's still there. Then the brain is changed and the body's changed. So along the way, it's easier because there's not that tension. And then when you get there, you think differently. You think like this fit person now, instead of still thinking like this unfit person, snapping you back down. Now you're here, now you stay there. Now it's permanent. That's the fundamental reason for the yo-yo. But this away from motivation is another reason. Because the further away you get from that, and the less pain you feel, if that pain was your initial motivator, which worked great, now you're feeling less of it, why keep going? Now you're feeling okay. You snap back. So then as you move closer to your toward motivators and keep focused on them, you get caught in their gravity. Now they help keep you on track because you can see them more clearly. Then as you continue to move towards your goals, they get bigger and clearer as your away from pain gets smaller, and that's how it's supposed to work. So on page 5, next page, you see the image of the windshield and the rearview mirror. When you're driving, you're looking forward through the windshield most of the time, and only glancing occasionally at the rearview mirror. The windshield's huge, rearview mirror is small. This is how you will be focused once you're caught in the gravity of your toward motivated goals. The away from goals at this point will be your rearview mirror, because they'll be pretty small. Eventually, that rearview mirror might get so small, you can't even make out the images in it anymore. In the very beginning, that rearview mirror will be the larger than the windshield, because you're focusing more on your away from pain goals to get you started. As you move in the direction of your toward goals, your windshield grows and your rearview mirror starts to shrink. So over time, it's actually mental programming where you're reprogramming your brain, strengthening the circuits for your toward goals and shrinking, atrophying the circuits from your away from goals because you're just not using them. Use it or lose it, and those circuits just go away. There will be a point, still towards the beginning part of your journey, when your windshield and your rearview mirror will be about the same size. That's not halfway through your journey. That's more in the beginning. So the rearview mirror might be the bigger thing right now, windshield the smaller thing. They move pretty fast in that change. So look forward to that, and that's how it should work. And the windshield then continues to get larger, rearview mirror continues to get smaller. But it's the combination, balance, and dance of these two motivators to help keep you moving forward and prevent you from backsliding on your way to your goals. So next page, page 6. Another analogy is a rocket ship. There's an enormous amount of fuel and energy required to get that ship moving initially to overcome its own weight and inertia caused by gravity and its own mass. Then, once momentum is built and the Earth's gravity is diminishing as it climbs, there's a point where it can either stay in the Earth's orbit and eventually fall back down to Earth, or it can break free completely of Earth's gravity and then use another planet's gravity to keep pulling it along. This other planet is your toward motivator. And it really is like going to another planet because it's about being willing to leave everything you know and are familiar with behind and then start over with a completely new lifestyle and habits on another planet. It's a true revolution. Without the gravity of your toward planet pulling you in its direction, you'd simply just float around in space being acted on by other random planets, i.e. shiny new distractions like ads on TV for the latest gizmo to for sure get you in shape this time, or infomercial, or new diet, or something like that, where people just do this back and forth all the time. Oh, that must work. Oh, that must work, because they're being convinced by those ads. If you ever noticed that the ads run at certain times a day, it's because those times a day they know that you're most likely to be kind of zoned out in your alpha brainwave state and you're more susceptible to buying stuff. More gullible, in other words. The initial blast off with the rocket takes the most energy because you're breaking the old habits you have formed over the years, your own gravity and inertia. Then, with the right brain training, the higher you get, the easier it becomes. So sticking with it, especially for the first 21 days, more on that later, is the key. The journey can be a long one, and the initial away from segment is the shortest part of the journey, just like a rocket ship. Most of the journey toward planet revolution is fun and easy once you break free of the initial gravity. Just like any other outer space journey, your focus most of the time will be on the new exciting planet you're heading toward and all the great lifestyle changes and new healthy sensations you'll experience during that journey. So keep in mind, this is more about the journey than the blast off or even getting to planet revolution. If you're willing to take that journey and the ups and downs that might go along with it, the destination will totally be worth it. You'll appreciate it more and will want to stay there because you worked for it. If it was easy, like taking a pill, you think you'd appreciate it? I mean, if you could just take a pill and be fit, everybody would be taking that pill. Everybody would be fit, and it wouldn't be special anymore. Nobody would care. Then you'd want to be something else. When you see somebody who's really fit, they're a head turner because it represents something. It represents that person has taken a journey. You know they've worked for it. Now we're going to learn some shortcuts here, but it's still a journey. This is much easier than anything else you've ever done, but it's still work. And you have to be able to be willing to put in that work and to take that journey. So, in fact, when you get to Planet Revolution, the journey has been the funnest part. So when you get there, that's not the funnest part. It's the icing on the cake. And good news is, icing and cake is part of this journey. Because you'll notice on the xgym website, there is a recipe for both. And the cake and the icing are delicious. It's amazing. It's way better than traditional cake. Next page. So now we got a little bit more writing. Step 3. Create a specific, realistic end goal and achievement date. Then create smaller, measurable marker goals along the way so you can celebrate and reward yourself when you achieve them. What's your final end goal? That's Planet Revolution. What does it look like when you've reached Planet Revolution? And how does that feel? When you're writing this down, use images and emotions to describe that. And you're really mostly done what you did in the previous page. This is basically the same thing with just a bit more detail and anything additional that comes to mind. So you're reiterating your goal here. What does that look like on Planet Revolution? And how does that feel? What are the emotions associated with that? So we're talking about one goal here mostly. Multiple goals are great too. For sure, if you have multiple goals, write those down too. But let's just focus on one main goal, your top goal for now. You can add more later today and tomorrow. But the main focus is going to be singular, more singular right now. So now pick a realistic end date. And be conservative here. Pick a date further out than your optimistic mind first suggests. Everybody thinks, oh gosh, I can do this in 6 months. Or had people come to me, gosh, I need to lose 150 pounds by Christmas. And it's September. So be conservative and remember that your future self is not Superman like your brain might think it is. We all see our future self as Superman. That's why we put stuff off. We say, I'll do it tomorrow for sure. I don't have enough willpower today to do it, or enough motivation today to do it, but tomorrow I for sure will. And then when tomorrow comes around, we're the same person. So future self is not Superman. Assume that future self is the same as it is today. It won't be, but assume it is. Even if it takes 2 years to achieve your goal, that's still a short amount of time, relatively, over the course of a lifetime, especially if those results are permanent. It's totally worth it. Now, divide up your goal into smaller segments so you have markers for your progress. No dates are needed for these markers, but thinking along the lines of dividing them evenly between your goal and achievement date is best. So let's say you want to lose 50 pounds. So you're dividing that up in these marker goals as evenly as possible between 7 different markers. You just kind of scribble now, refine it later. I can send you the PDF of this also, or post it in the Facebook group. So even if you mess up your sheet that you have now, you can just print out another one later. Next page, number 9. Now pick a reward, non-food based, for achieving each of these markers. These rewards should be highly motivating and should only be for you. So we're not looking at dates here either. We're just looking at breaking things up into 7 different segments between Earth and planet evolution, those markers, and then rewards for those markers. So there's a couple examples at the top of the page of someone else that's done something like this. And they've put it in different sections of classes of rewards. And up in that first one, where it's over on the right side of that first, the $10 or less small goals, it says new workout DVD, and then parentheses it says try Jillian Michaels. I say try the xgym DVD. Then in the next one down there, the $25 or less, over on the right, in the top one, a whole year of fitness magazine. I do not recommend fitness magazine because it is the mass media kind of advice, which is mostly wrong. So I would suggest subscribing to like Dr. Mercola's website, newsletter, or something like that, mercola.com, MERCOLA. Go ahead and just email me or ask me or post on the Facebook group, and I can give you links and stuff. So you're writing down your reward markers there. Next page, 10. You're going to write down 3 daily must-do items that are vital to your success. These are new habits that you're forming that you think maybe you should have done in the past, that you really want to do now. They shouldn't be super hard. They should be easy or medium. These 3. But they're vital to your success. It should be something like drinking more water, exercising regularly, something like that. You got to do these. They're must-dos in order to achieve your goal and reach planet evolution. And they have to happen every day. I know I'm going kind of fast, so you can tell me to slow down if you need me to, or finish it in an hour or 2, and tomorrow. You're always going to be refining this too. So this is not your final answer right now. You can certainly modify and refine this as you go. Next page, page 11. So now you're going to write down 3 daily would be nice to do items. These are things you should do every day, but they might be tougher to be perfect with. It might be tougher to hit that mark every day, and that's okay, but these are would be nice items. You really wish you would be able to do these every day. Maybe it just takes more discipline. It's okay too. I would love it if I could put aside the time to do tower running every day, at least once. I live in Lincoln Tower in downtown Bellevue, and I moved there because it's a really tall stairwell. And I've got a very simple criteria for where I live, step one thing. So that would be mine. And it's the reason that might be a little unattainable is because it's not the time factor per se, because it doesn't take a whole lot of time, but even though it only takes me 3 or 4 minutes, I'm sweating like a pig when I'm done for about an hour. So I've got to schedule it around that. And I'm also scheduling trying to time it with, when I eat stuff. It's going to be something like that. I probably couldn't pick that every day, but it'd be nice. Now, every time you do one of these must-do or would-be nice items, tell yourself out loud with an upright, proud posture, strong work, PJ, or whatever your name is. But you could say PJ. I'll get it on an energetic level. So that's important. It sounds corny, But this is another one of those little brain training things you can do that doesn't take really any time at all. And it might not even sound sincere at first, but to your subconscious, it's completely convincing. And that's the only thing you're worried about convincing. Doesn't matter what your conscious mind, your prefrontal cortex thinks about it, how corny it thinks, or how it thinks it might not even work. Doesn't matter. Do it anyways because your subconscious, like a 3-year-old, is going to be convinced that you're serious, especially if you change your posture and you act proud and you say that with that proud posture. And the reason that saying those 3 words, strong work with your name, is important is it's better than saying good job or complimenting yourself on a character quality, like you're smart or something like that. It's about the effort. This is effort-based. And that's much more effective for your subconscious than skill-based. Next page, 12. Step 4. Find a partner or join a team, and then make your goal public. And I know some of you jumped a little bit inside when I said that, because that's accountability. But that's the purpose for making it public. And finding a partner or joining a team is also about support. A partner and or team provides encouragement, accountability, motivation, and belief. A person or group of people who believe in you, and then a chance to reciprocate those beliefs to help others. This exercises the belief muscle, and belief is one of the most powerful forces in your brain. Belief and faith are pretty much the same thing. So when you're exercising your belief muscle, you're increasing your own faith in yourself and others. So now write down first three people to pop into your mind who might be interested in achieving a similar resolution with you, joining you in this journey to planet revolution. If you can think of 3 people right now, jot them down. If not, you will in a couple hours or tomorrow. Next, ask them in the order above. If the first person doesn't seem very enthusiastic, then just move on to the next one until you find one who is. Here's a possible script to use, and this wording is most effective. Hey, so-and-so, I'm on a mission to achieve my health and fitness resolution this year, and I learned some great revolutionary techniques for that. If I taught them to you, would you be willing to team up with me so we can get each other to achieve our resolutions together? So that wording is very convincing, plus you're promising them content and value, and this is going to help you too, because you're going to end up teaching them this, and teaching always equals deep learning. So now when you teach this to somebody else, you become an expert. You can also find a team to join or form one yourself, maybe by asking all of the above people. The Facebook group for this workshop will be golden, so that's your group too. Other ways include forming a texting group emails, Google Hangout, coffee shop meetings, group exercise, cooking parties, etc. And then make your goal public. That'll increase your leverage for success. Those you're closest to, respect the most, and care the most about are the best people to share your goal with. It's not just leverage, it's more support too. Now, food logging is also a good idea, but I didn't mention this in this workbook because it's not for every brain type. The stuff in this workbook will apply for every brain type. So food logging is great. I encourage people to do that. If it works for you, great, you should try it. If it doesn't, don't do it. Maybe try it later at some point. Research shows that people do get better results with food logging, but there are certain brain types that just hate it. And they hate it so much, they're just going to forget the whole program because they hate it so much. Same thing with journaling. It's awesome for some brain types. For other brain types like mine, it just drives me nuts. It makes me irritated. And then just makes me not want to do anything. Next page 13. We're cruising. Commit. Go all in. Now that you've set up your foundation steps, You're ready to fully commit and pour yourself 100% into achieving your resolution. Create a contract for yourself summarizing what you wrote in steps 2 through 4. Sign it and date it. Then have your partner or partners sign it. You see the last pages. We'll get to those. It's in here. These contracts are in here. Next, post your contract somewhere you'll see it every day, like your bathroom mirror or refrigerator. If you'd like specific support from family members or a spouse, post it where they can see it too. Ask them if they would be willing to support you in this contract. If they agree, ask them to sign the support contract, also included in the back of this. Then if they forget, where it might feel like sabotage, even in some of those cases, or fail to support you at any point, just ask them again if they still want to support you. That will just usually remind them because they forgot. But sometimes they'll say no, because they're giving up something too. So then ask them what's changed since they signed their name to that contract. And then keep asking questions, especially about health, longevity, etc., until they agree to support you again. So it's about questions. It's not saying, come on, you signed that contract. It's about asking them questions to bring them around to the original reason that they signed the contract for you. The reason I put unintentional sabotage down here is because to you it might feel like they're sabotaging you if they stop supporting you or they say, hey, let's go out for drinks like we always do. It's just a habit. It's a pattern that they have that they're used to. And so there could be some sacrifices for them too. They don't necessarily want to give up those sacrifices. And they'll tell you that. If you ask them, they'll say, yeah, but, sure, I want to support you, but we don't go out drinking anymore. And that was a really big part of our relationship. And so that's something they're having to deal with. You also might consider some additional leverage. You can't have too much. So things like making a bet, put some money on it, or form a pool with a group, maybe a little bit of competition, or an online tool like stick.com, 2Ks, where you can form bets with people. Remember that partial commitment gives partial results, but it's not proportional. Your commitment to results is not proportional. 70% commitment typically gets you about 30% of the results that you're after. So 70% sounds like a big commitment. 30% sounds like diddly squat. That's kind of how it works though. 80% gets you 40% results. That's a pretty big step up in commitment, not a very big step up in results. But then it starts getting better. 90% gets you 60%. So you think, wow, 90%, I'm almost perfect, and only getting 60% of what I expect? Yeah, that's how it works. But 100% gets you more than you expect. If you go all in, 100% in, you're going to get 100%, 110% back. Next page shows that graph. So you can kind of see how it curves up faster than the line, the commitment line. So the top line is commitment level. The bottom curve is the results you can expect. You can see when they cross over around the 100% point. So now every time I say 100% commitment to someone, then a whole bunch of questions pop into their mind. We're going to go over these. First one is, well, this might work for you, PJ, but I'm not OCD about food like you are. Nor do I want to be. So now I go down to my answer there, down at the bottom. And this is something that you can say and answer this yourself. Everyone I've seen succeed wildly and permanently with their resolutions has become OCD about their goals. I admire that, and if they can do it, so can I. This wording is important because when you see somebody else, they're a fanatic, and you say, oh, I don't want to be a fanatic like them, what you're telling the 3-year-old is, that's bad. And so then, someday down the road, maybe you change your mind, you do want to be a fanatic. Well, the 3-year-old thinks that's bad. So the 3-year-old's going to sabotage you. So when you say something like, I admire that, you're saying the opposite of that's bad. And you're programming your 3-year-old that that's a good thing. So even if you don't think this or feel this way now, still saying it anyways is programming that 3-year-old. And the 3-year-old's in charge, whether you like it or not. Number 2, above. I want to have fun sometimes and still be able to eat what I like every once in a while. See those two words that are italicized? See, you're telling your 3-year-old that bad eating is fun and you like it. Then you go down to number 2 below, you can rephrase it by saying, nutritious food can be as delicious or even more so than what I'm eating now. So I look forward to discovering new tastes and preferences I never knew I had. Above on 3. I don't want to get to the point where I get sick every time I eat a hamburger or something. 3 below. I choose to stop poisoning myself, even occasionally, with food that's not good for my body. I'd rather be hungry for a short while until I find good, healthy food than to give into a craving that will damage my health or create backward steps. So a couple examples I'm thinking of is one of my friends that just went to New York. He said this number 3 above because, you know, he's running around town and stuff, and he enjoys the hot dogs on the street corner. The cart, the guy that has the cart. And he wants to be able to eat those hot dogs. Also, he knows he's going to be really busy, might not have time to find a Whole Foods somewhere and get healthy food. So he wants to have that option. That hot dog is poison. It's like rat poison for humans. And some people say, well, occasionally though, I just want to be able to have that. It's like a rat saying, occasionally I just want to be able to have rat poison. So poison is poison. Occasionally, it's still poison. And so you just got to come to the conclusion with 100% commitment that it's not okay to poison myself every once in a while. I'm giving up poison now. I'm just going with healthy stuff. And since I gave up poison 15 years ago, I get hungry sometimes because I'm traveling. I mean, around here I don't really, because, you know, I make sure that I pack food in the car, I bring coolers and stuff, and I have food made at home. I think ahead, I plan ahead, I make food ahead, I do all the stuff necessary to make sure that I have food accessible. But if I'm traveling and I run out, or something happens, or a layover at the airport or something, and I can't find anything in the airport, I'm hungry. So what? Hunger is actually a good thing, because when you're hungry, the first thing that your cells start doing is they start eating themselves, but they eat the garbage first. So it's like a detox of sorts. So that's good. So then when I'm feeling the hunger pangs, I'm like, oh, cool, I'm detoxed. So it's a good thing. And it's never more than a few hours. And we can all last a few hours being hungry. I mean, we're so spoiled in this country to have food within 20 feet at any given moment. And to put it off and to be hungry is actually really good exercise. It's good for the brain, it's good for the body. So what? It's an opportunity.
What about like when your blood sugar drops?
So there's 2 answers to this. And the first answer is, if you have a blood sugar issue and it's a medical issue, you just got to think ahead. You got to be prepared. My cousin is type 1 diabetic. He got it, the virus attacked his pancreas when he was 10. Ever since then, he's on shots, nothing he can do, can't be cured, just the way he is. He's got to plan ahead. He's got to have his insulin with him. He's super fit. I mean, this guy's in the best shape because he makes great choices. And that's one of the limitations that he has now, and he will for the rest of his life. And he just plans ahead. He just makes sure that he does what he needs to do and has with him what he needs to have with him. For most people, where it's not a medical issue, it's because they're a sugar burner. There's 2 kinds of burners. There's a fat burner and a sugar burner. 98% of the people walking around the street nowadays that you see are sugar burners. 2% of us are fat burners. It takes work to be a fat burner. When you're a fat burner, it's great. It's really, because you never have the blood sugar lows. I could go 3 days without eating food. I'm never going to have a blood sugar low because my body doesn't run on sugar. It's been taught to run on fat. And even though I'm 6% body fat, I've got plenty of fat in me to last, because fat is an amazing energy source. The non-essential fat is a huge gas tank that I can run on. I'm going to be fine. It's the sugar burners that have this up and down that feel that sugar drop. Now, for the sugar burners, where it's not a medical issue, it's not a problem. You're going to get cranky, that's a problem. And you're going to feel frantic and maybe jittery and shaky and stuff, but it's actually not a medical problem. It's a psychological problem because your brain wants that fuel that it's not getting, that it's accustomed to, and your body wants what it's addicted to. But if you cook off the Hardbod Cafe site, xgym recipe page, you will convert over time into becoming a fat burner. And your whole life changes. Once you become a fat burner, like humans are designed to be, your life is completely changed. I can't even tell you how different things are once you're a fat burner, once you get in that 2%. Then your body's working right, working optimally, and you're as lean as you want to be, and you don't even try. It just happens. So last one, number 4. This might work for me, but my family needs to eat their way, so I want to be able to accommodate for their foods and habits. So 4 down below. I will gather the support of my family and will look forward to phasing them into a healthy lifestyle by introducing delicious and nutritious foods they enjoy even more than the unhealthy foods and snacks they're addicted to. So this is careful wording here. This is helping you, another way to help program your brain. And it's also introducing the concept of a higher purpose because you're helping somebody else other than just yourself. You're phrasing this to help other people, your family. Okay, next page, step 6. Almost done, there's only 7 steps. So this step is cleaning up your cupboards and starting fresh with the recipes from hardbodcafe.com. Throw away or give to the food bank every ingredient that isn't on hardbodcafe.com. I know palms are getting sweaty right now when you're hearing this, because that's a big step. And restock your shelves, cupboards, pantry, and refrigerator with foods and ingredients that are on hardbodcafe.com. You don't have to just stick with hardbodcafe.com. I'm talking paleo's great, primal is great. By and large, it's pretty much the same. So if you want to do paleo, that'd be fine. I do primal, that'd be fine. Hardbod Cafe. Hardbod Cafe is tastier than most paleo and primal, but if you go on and Google paleo recipes and primal recipes, there's a lot of really good stuff out there. There's more stuff you can find just Googling it than you could ever possibly make in a lifetime. It's delicious because so many people are doing it now. They're coming up with amazing recipes. But once you find one, run it by me, email or the Facebook group, because I want to take a look at it, because everything on Google that says is paleo isn't necessarily paleo or primal, because those people might not really understand what that means, and they put it up there thinking or saying that it is, and it's not at all. But most of it is. So, if this sounds like too big of a step, then refer to step 5, the commitment step, and decide if you really want to get results once and for all, or if you want to risk failure like you have every year so far. Again, there are shortcuts here. This is going to be easier to do than any other time you've tried before. So we're talking about the brain training, talking about the other resources here, the other techniques, and delicious recipes and delicious food. And then if your family's not on board yet, then go ahead and let them finish the unhealthy foods in the house, but be sure to ask them for their support in helping you to avoid eating those foods. Make sure they agree to help you with your health first, and make this the main goal to support you with, your health. So it's internal, not external vanity stuff. If they ever see you eating something unhealthy, just have them ask you the question, is that food making you healthier? This would be a great accountability tool for you and an amazing education for them, because the next time they eat it, that little voice in the back of their head will be asking the same question. Whether they really hear it or not, the 3-year-old's going to ask the question because they asked it of you. And then cognitive dissonance comes in and starts to reprogram their brain too. Then when their food runs out, don't buy more of it for them. Make them buy it if they really want it. If they complain, tell them they can still have it, but it's too hard for you to buy it because then you're tempted. Then ask them if they still want to support you in your goal of getting healthier. Then reiterate that you're not forbidding them from eating those foods, and that they're free to go out and get those foods anytime they want. Then request to them that if they want to do that, to please keep those foods somewhere that's hard or impossible for you to access, which is a whole other brain training trick of its own. Meanwhile, keep them, making them delicious, healthy food, and eventually they'll start eating healthier too by their choice, which is important. You can't force someone else to change, especially in something like this, because you're just going to resist. But over time, their brains change. They make the choice. Good example is Ryan. A lot of you know Ryan, my nephew. He's on vacation right now, so he's not here. But his mom started eating healthy because she had about 110 pounds to lose, my sister. And so she made the decision that she wanted to live. And so she started eating healthy, getting healthier. It took Ryan a little while. He was younger at the time. I think he was like, I don't know, 10, 12, something like that. And after a while, his 3-year-old cognitive dissonance started to pay off. And he just said, hey, I think I want to start doing some of this with you. He started dabbling in some of the healthy food. And yeah, it was pretty good. He had some weight to lose too. He probably had 40 pounds to lose. And he did it. And it was his choice. And he's still doing it. I mean, you see him now. He's in great shape. Next page. Last step. Brain train 5 or more days per week. Starting with the EFT technique. You got the link here. I already have it on the Facebook page, so just go to that. You can click it. Start with that technique. Then go to xgym.com/brain-training. Enter for the password, because it's going to make you enter a password. Then choose the lesson you think you need the most for the circumstance you're in or the feeling you're experiencing. Then just explore the other lessons as needed. There's about 30 lessons on there, so lots of different situations. Shoot for learning 2 lessons per week. Most of them take 7 minutes or less, so they're pretty quick. When you learn a lesson, see if it resonates with you. If not, no problem, just try another. Or keep at the one that didn't resonate anyway, because that's what brain training is all about. And you should feel some effort when you brain train. Whether you do one of these lessons or another brain training, I personally do the app on my phone or the website, brainhq.com. It's just general brain training, not necessarily for this kind of stuff, but it's helpful for this kind of stuff. When it first starts out with one of the lessons on that website, it's pretty easy. Like, oh, I got this. I don't really have to even try. And then it starts getting harder and harder, like it's supposed to, until it's like, oh, this isn't fun anymore, because it's work. That's when the brain is changing. Because when it feels like work, that's your brain putting out energy to make new connections, rewire itself, making the new connections and undoing the old connections. So expect that, and that means you're getting results. It takes 21 days straight of a new habit to wire it into your brain. At that point, it gets easier. Then after about 77 days, it's really 80, but I put it down to 77 because 7 is my favorite number, so it's close enough. It becomes virtually automatic. In other words, it might take some effort for the first few weeks, but after it's wired in, especially using the brain training techniques, because these are specifically designed for that, you'll really start to find your stride. Then after 77 days, you'll wonder why you ever thought it was even challenging at all. You'll find these 7 steps to be a much easier plan than you've tried before, and most importantly, a permanent plan to help you achieve your New Year's resolution once and for all. So remember to email me for anything, coaching, questions, support. So I'm here for you. So are your trainers. And we're here for each other as a group, especially through this Facebook thing. So it's really important that we do that. The last 2 pages are your contracts. First one is your personal contract. So you fill this out for yourself, post it somewhere that you'll see it all the time, and you can have your spouse, partner, workout partner sign this too at the bottom, put their name on it too. You put yours on theirs. So then there's a little bit of accountability there. And then for other support people, for your family, for a group, for more people like a group, your support group, you have them do this next page here. And when you're making these goals at the top, it can be more than one, just one, but if it's just one, make it a health-related goal. If it's more than one, have at least one of those goals be health-related as opposed to the vanity-related. There's nothing wrong with having a vanity goal, getting that six-pack or whatever it is. But those goals are not as effective for the long term as internal health goals are. So it's important to have those, and then to have your family and your support group keep you accountable first with your health goals. So then they're going to be accountable for this list of things, catching you doing things right, the stuff that you're successful with, lovingly asking you about the possibility of making better choices when they see you making poor choices. So not judging you or pointing their finger or shaking their finger, but loving you ask, is that a good, healthy choice? Because I really want to see you get healthier. Allowing change to a habit or pattern that we share. So this is for the person, they're reading this. They're allowing change for a pattern they share with you that might slow progress. Going back to that drinking example. This couple, they had this great relationship, and wine is a big part of that. That's something that they had, that's like a bonding time. And the other person is going to be really sad to give that up. So they're agreeing to allow that change. And then that person is agreeing to keep you accountable, right, by regularly asking you about your progress and if there's anything more they can do to help and support you. And then below this, there's the blanks, because you might think of stuff other than these bullet points here. You might think of more than 3 things too. So write in as many as you can. But then all those people sign down here at the bottom. And then if you write stuff in later down here, have little spaces for initials. So you're redoing the contract with them, and they're approving it. So you're not just adding stuff later that they see later that they weren't a part of. So they have to be a part of this, and they have to initial it so they are approving it and they're buying in. Scott here, my favorite lawyer in the world, is a contract guru, and wouldn't you say that's important? And that's one of the reasons that's important. Absolutely. Because when you're signing your name to something, even if it's just an initial to something later, it's an agreement. That's it. That's the workbook. So I know we went through it really fast, and I encourage you to go through it again later today, because that's going to drive it in deeper into your brain, and then again tomorrow. So that's part of the commitment to this. Later today, again tomorrow. And then you're going to, like the personal commitment sheet said, you're going to reference this thing. I promise to reference my revolution workbook at least 3 times a week, and will follow the guidance recommendations in it, as well as the goals, rewards, and dates I've set for myself. I promise to brain train as recommended, and will ask for support when needed. I promise to focus on ways in which achieving my goals will help others, and will bring that to fruition through active contribution to family, friends, and or community, making it bigger than yourself. So you're helping other people as well as helping yourself. So now it's going to be time for some more questions. How does working out, getting fit, and everything affect osteoporosis?
Been there,
Karen.
done that. It will build your bones.
Yeah.
Osteoporosis goes away. And the trainers are so careful, they can do it so you don't get hurt. You can rebuild your bone. I did.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah, I did.
And it's funny because just, 3 days ago, a member at the Alki Club came to me and told me that she just got a rescan. She had osteoporosis issues. Her spine and her pelvis both increased density with no meds. She's been off meds for some time now. And her density went up from exercise.
Yeah, I don't take any drugs anymore.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
How long does it take to be a fat burner versus a sugar burner?
It depends. So it depends on the person, and it depends on the commitment level. Most people are kind of 75, 80% into it, and so it could take 6-7 months with that kind of commitment, assuming that commitment grows to 100% eventually. If someone's all in right away, it can take as little as 3 weeks or as long as 5 weeks. Now just so you know, this is completely going cold turkey off sugar and starches and all fast carbs. And so it's not pleasant. And there's a 3-week period in there where you feel like garbage, like you have the flu, because your body is detoxing and withdrawing from those things. So most people kind of phase into it over time, but to get to that 2% does either take that buildup or the cold turkey.
Could you expand a little bit more in so that I can understand it a little bit better of the differences?
Yes, the differences from a bone standpoint or just general health
Just general,
and fitness?
yes, just general.
Differences between your regular gym and this kind of training?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
So your regular gym is going to have regular style reps. It's really how you do the rep itself. So you go to the big box gyms or any other trainer and you're going to be doing reps like this. I'm doing arm curls, I'm doing reps like this. So this is pretty lightweight I'm doing right now. If it's heavyweight, I'm doing reps like this. It's still, as far as the brain is concerned, the intention is to do the rep the same way, just to get it up as fast as I can. And then do a certain number of reps. And then I'm going to rest for a while, and then I'm going to do another set, and I'm going to rest for a while, and do another set. So that's traditional training. Reps all look the same. And the intention is the idea is all the same. Here, we've got 7 different ways of doing that rep. We call those protocols or methods. They're all 7 different methods. So ranges from something like slow motion. So for instance, if I'm going to do a standing body row, and I'm doing the 7-second protocol, I'm going 7 seconds, like this, to get it all the way back there. And then when I get back there, I'm going to squeeze it. I'm going to pause at that where the muscle's fully shortened, because that's the sweet spot. And then I'm going to come forward. I'm going to push my hands apart as far as I can to get even better contraction in the upper back. And I'm only going to go to here. There's tension still on the muscle. And then I'm going to start back into my next rep. So I've just done 1 rep. It took 14 seconds. I'm going to do 7 of those reps. It's going to take me a couple minutes to do all of those reps. And then I'm going to be at complete muscle fatigue. So see how the rep looks different? And the reason it looks different is because that introduces the concept of time under tension. It's constant tension, no rests anywhere. With traditional training, you got to rest up here. Because you're going so fast, momentum carries it through, and then when you change direction, momentum's still going this way, you're going this way. Your muscles your bicep is completely relaxed for a second, and now it's refueled. Here, with constant tension, we don't give it a chance to refuel. So it runs out of fuel, which is the goal of this kind of training, because when you make that cell run out of fuel, then it says, well, I got to get a bigger tank. And so it realizes that it has to change. And then at the end, when you reach complete muscle fatigue, that's strength training. So the time under tension is endurance training for a bigger gas tank. And at the end, when you reach fatigue, that's strength training to get stronger. But because you've also been doing endurance training up to that point, the muscle cell can't get bigger. So that's how our clients get stronger without getting bigger. But at the other gyms, you got these 15-second sets with rest in between, which isn't endurance training, so the muscle can get bigger, and they do. And that's why traditional training was invented back in 1891, is to make people bigger. The strength that people got from it was just kind of a byproduct, and they thought that was fine, but they weren't really concerned with that. They just wanted to get bigger. Well, that's what most people are still doing, even though it's from 1891, because they don't know any better. They don't know if there's something better, like this, that's been all developed on the latest research to make it not only less time, but safer, because it's lighter weights and more controlled, and give you endurance and give you strength without bulking you up. And that's just one, so that slow motion was just one of the 7. So we also have cycles through either a month for a group or every 7 weeks for one-on-one. We cycle through a new method, keep the nerves guessing and changing, and the muscles changing so they can adapt, not just to the routine, but to the method too. So then we've got the ratchets. So instead of slow and smooth, now we're creating points of inertia we have to overcome on the way back, and then muscle breaking on the way forward, training the nerves and the proprioceptors to control things. So the brain has to stay engaged the entire time. You can't just zone out like you see that people do at the traditional gyms. Watching TV, you're talking to somebody when they're working out. None of that can happen here because you have to focus the entire time, very intensively, training your nerves as well as your muscles. And then as a result, you become more coordinated, you become stronger faster because it's nerve training instead of just muscle training. Nerves are more than half your strength because you're increasing coordination, you're teaching your muscles to work together, and it's a whole different world.
And you're burning fat.
You're burning fat because of the intensity of the workout. When you get to complete muscle fatigue at the end, your heart rate spiked. And then you go to another exercise, and the first 2 reps really aren't that hard, and then it starts to get harder again. So but while that's happening, your heart rate's coming back down. So then at the end of the workout, you've done 5 or 6, 7 exercises. If you graphed your heart rate on a piece of paper, it would look like this, which looks like interval training on paper, right? Well, as far as the heart and lungs are concerned, it is, because your heart's been going up and down, and your breathing rate's been going up and down. That is the best fat-burning workout you can do, is interval training. So that's how this program can give you the cardio, because of the interval training, and the endurance, because of the time under tension, and the strength, because of the complete muscle fatigue. Yeah.
So I can tell you, I've been doing regular weight work in the traditional gym for a decade, and I've been coming here about 6 weeks or so, and the difference that I feel in my body is amazing from doing the work here instead of the traditional weight stuff.
You're probably saving a lot more time.
Yeah, it takes 20 minutes. I mean, it takes me, I'm on Mercer Island, it takes me about as much time to drive over here, do the workout, and drive back as it takes me to go to the gym 2 miles from my house and work out.
Yeah. So the formulation of the chocolate that makes it fat burning took me 2 years to come up with this formula, and I made a lot of really nasty chocolate at that point. I knew the formula, what it should be to burn chocolate, to burn fat, but I just couldn't get it right. And then I came back around and just kind of made it simpler, and this actually works. The whole thing that changed it was using coconut oil instead of cocoa butter, which I had been doing for so long because that's what everybody else does when they make chocolate. And then when I first started using coconut oil, I thought, I discovered that it just melts too fast because coconut oil melts at 75 degrees. So room temperature, it's soft and you can't even, it's frustrating. So you gotta keep it in the fridge, and that's a big pain in the neck. But then I thought, it's worth the pain in the neck to be the fat burning formula. So that's when I finally just made the switch and said, okay, we're just going to make this a refrigerated item and get rid of the cocoa butter and make it coconut oil. There's nothing wrong with cocoa butter. It's healthy. It's good for you. Not as good for you, though, as coconut oil. And it's definitely not as fat burning as coconut oil. The reason that coconut oil is so fat burning, intensively fat burning, is because it's 70% MCTs, medium chain triglycerides. And MCTs can't be stored as body fat in the body. They have to be burned off as energy, like a carbohydrate. So when people eat this formula, they feel energy. They think, oh, it must be the caffeine. Well, no, because it really doesn't have that much caffeine. In fact, there's no caffeine. The theobromide kind of acts like caffeine, but there's so little in it that it's really not that effect. What they're feeling is the energy bump from the energy source of the coconut oil. They're burning it off. Instead of storing it like regular chocolate, they're burning it off. And it kind of stokes that fat-burning metabolism, so you end up burning off more than you just ate. So that's what makes it a negative fat food. The other part is it's high protein, because there's protein powder in there, which raises the metabolism, helps build muscle and muscle density, and which also raises the metabolism. It's sugar-free, because erythritol is a sweetener, organic erythritol, and which can't be absorbed by the body. It tastes like sugar, but it can't be absorbed. It's also the lowest gastric issue of all the tols. Maltitol is the worst. That's probably what you've if you've eaten sugar-free candy in the stores before, it's maltitol. That's the cheapest tall, sugar alcohol. And that's horrible. I mean, that gives you gas and all sorts of stuff. Xylitol is the second best, but erythritol is the very best as far as the reducing gastric issues. So those are the reasons that it's so metabolically active and efficient at burning body fat.
Do you recommend doing cardio in between the weight training sessions? And if so, what kind of cardio would you recommend?
It's funny that you asked this because I just did a blog post on pjfit.com, pjfit.com, and it's, I think, my longest blog post ever. So this is a really long story. So I recommend going to that post and reading it. But the short version is, depending on what your goals are, you may or may not need to do any cardio at all. More than half our clients do zero cardio. All they come in for is the 21 minutes twice a week, and they get cardio benefits from that. However, there's other clients that may be a competitive athlete or recreational athlete where they want to have goals for races and times and things like that. So they might need to do more sport-specific stuff, training within their sport. Or somebody's just in more of a hurry. Twice a week, they'd rather work out more than twice a week. So they'll do cardio. And in that case, in both of those cases, I would recommend interval training, like Tabata protocol, something like that would be awesome. Rarely do I recommend long-duration cardio. And the only time I do is for people who, that's their sport. They're a marathoner. And in that case, or a triathlete, something like that. In that case, just for adaptation purposes, they have to, every once in a while, do cardio. To be a really good marathon runner, you'd only have to run a long distance once a week, because really the only benefit to that long distance is for your joints, not necessarily for your system, because you can get all that with interval training and strength training. But you do need to get out once a week and do some pounding, because if you don't, come race time, your joints aren't ready, because they haven't been pounded. They haven't been pounded on. So that's really the only exception I would make.
Do you sell the chocolate?
So, do we sell the chocolate?
Or a kit.
Or
Ingredients.
we do actually sell ingredients at the Alki Club, and we will here soon. And we don't sell the finished product, although we give it away to all the members. So when they're done with their workout, on the way out, they just help themselves to the chocolate in the fridge. And the recipe is also open source, as you saw, so you can make it at home, and we encourage people to do that. We will start selling it for people that aren't willing to make it at home. We've kind of been dragging our feet with that because we'd rather people make it at home on their own, because it's just a lot cheaper to make it yourself than to buy it from us after we've bought all the stuff and organic ingredients and everything, which of course you want to do yourself, but it's expensive because you also, when you buy it from us, you're going to be paying for someone else to make it for you, which then makes it expensive. So yes, we'll sell it, but we'll also always be encouraging people to make it themselves. And we're even moving forward towards a more public brand that we can sell elsewhere. But even on the wrapper of every product, we're going to have the link to the place where the recipe is, so people know they can make it themselves. They don't have to keep buying it from us. So the people we sell to are going to be the people that just don't want it. They just don't want to make it. They know they can, but they just don't want to. But also the recipe on the website has links embedded in it, which makes it really easy to order all the stuff from Amazon. It just shows up at your door. You don't even have to go shopping. So and it's super easy to make too. All you need is a blender and a refrigerator, and you're good to go. So because it's just blending this, it's melting the coconut oil, blending it, and then putting it in the refrigerator to harden up. It's that easy. Super easy. All right. Thanks for coming. That was fun.